fuck you, fuck your team, fuck Usyk, fuck the Alex, and if you're down with Usyk, well, fuck you too.
Considering retiring. Yeah, he should. I said this after the Rico fight. I said Oleksandr Usyk should call it quits. Like, what more do you need to take away from this sport before it starts taking away from you? You've been undisputed 3 times. 3 times. 1 at cruiserweight and twice at heavyweight. There is nothing more to achieve. You would go down as one of the greatest fighters ever. Fact. One of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Fact. Unbeaten. Great amateur pedigree. You know the phrase, get in, get rich, get out. He's got in, he's got very rich. It's time to get out. And then there's age. Like if Usyk was 35, I'd say, okay, cool. What I don't want to be Usyk is age. Like I don't think any of the heavyweights can hang with Usyk apart from when age starts to get or catch up with Usyk, if that makes sense.
Роднички, всім доброго дня. Сьогодні п'ятниця, гарна погода і гарний день сказати про те, що я хочу залишити всі свої пояси, якими я сьогодні володію, зробити їх вільними, щоб хлопці, які стоять...
Oleksandr Usyk relinquishing all titles, including the Ring Magazine title. Yeah. No more defenses. Yeah. He's just chasing glory, whatever that means. What does that mean? When you first hear it, what's your reaction?
Well, my reaction is that when you're not going to face, when you're a unified champion and you're not going to face one mandatory, you know, it's a little bit easier to vacate all the belts than to answer the questions. And I think he's probably in a position where he's like, I've done so much in the sport, I don't want to be told who I've got to fight. Do you know what I mean? I want to do my own thing. I don't know when I'm going to fight. I want to fight when I want to fight. I don't want an order that says I have 30 days to negotiate and the fight must take place in 90 days. Do you know what I mean? And if he's going to rematch Rico, which I would, if I was looking after Usyk, I would be telling him to do, that's his last fight anyway. So...
would you?
Oh, without doubt. Without doubt. I mean, why would you fight Cabiel and defend your title? It's a very tough fight. Like, I think financially you can make more money to fight Rico. There's a bit of controversy there. There's a few unanswered questions. I think he wins very comfortably in the second fight. You can do something in Amsterdam, which would be like iconic. And I think he's done, isn't he? He's like, you know, this is him saying one more and thank you boxing.
And there it is. Tyson Fury could not even wait 5 minutes before running his mouth. The second Oleksandr Usyk made the biggest announcement in heavyweight boxing this entire year. Usyk vacates every single belt he ever won, and Fury responds like a man who is absolutely rattled. Not one word of respect, not 1 ounce of class. Just a bitter reaction from someone who had every opportunity to face the greatest heavyweight of this generation and dodged it every single time he possibly could.
Ain't signing it. You little sausage. You do not want to fight. Your manager's a sausage. I've never seen anything like this. Pope a pack of shithouses. However, I will be fighting in December the 3rd if this sausage does not sign this contract, which I don't think he is, because I don't think he's got the bollocks to, because he's a shitbag.
And that right there is a fair and honest take from someone who was not even entirely in Usyk's corner throughout all of this. Even the frustrated voices had to hold their hands up and give the man the respect he has completely earned. Undisputed at cruiserweight. Undisputed at heavyweight. 2 divisions conquered. 0 losses on his record. Oleksandr Usyk did not just pass through the heavyweight division. He owned it completely and left it unbeaten with every belt that mattered around his waist like the true champion he always was.
Deserves his shot. I understand it. But if this is, you know, this is it for Usyk, 1 more fight, and we'll talk about retirement after that fight, but what a career. I applaud him for stepping aside if he wasn't going to defend the belts. I was one of those guys that was a little bit frustrated that he was fighting Rico for the belt and that Cabiel wasn't getting to get shot, right? And that Daniel Dubois, he had to vacate one of the belts so Daniel Dubois and Fabio Wardley could fight for it. And then you had Joshua coming back and Moses Atama was there and just these younger guys that were going to come up, and Usyk was clearly not going to fight. I was sitting here going, if you're not going to fight him, then drop the belts. And he's dropped the belts. So I have nothing bad to say. Congrats to Oleksandr Usyk on a legendary career at both cruiser and heavyweight, one of the best of all time. But now it's time to move on.
Absolutely unhinged. This is a man who was beaten twice by Oleksandr Usyk and still has the nerve to sit in front of a camera and carry on like this. Usyk outboxed him. Usyk outclassed him. Usyk took his belts and walked away completely undefeated. And all Fury can do is swear and rant like a man who knows deep down in his heart that he never once had a real answer for the little Ukrainian who exposed him in front of the entire world on 2 separate occasions.
Usyk, you little shithouse. You proper little shitbag. Bog-eyed, gappy-teethed, ugly little rat bastard. You little slimy fucker. Tried always.
And that is honestly the part that separates Oleksandr Usyk from almost every single fighter you will ever come across in this sport. 200 million in the bank, and the man still carries a heavy heart every single time he leaves his wife and children to go into training camp. That is not just a cold professional doing a job. That is a real human being with genuine love and genuine values fighting in the most brutal and unforgiving sport on the entire planet. That right there deserves every bit of respect you can possibly give.
It's difficult to retire when, I guess, the numbers been chucked in front of you are big numbers. Like, you always make more money towards the end of your career than you do obviously in the middle and the beginning. And now Oleksandr Usyk, I'm guessing, has made more money than he ever dreamt of. And when the offers are still there and the numbers are still big, it must be difficult to say no when you genuinely believe that you can still beat those guys. But how much is enough? How much is enough? Like, Oleksandr Usyk must have, what number? 200 million? Would you have said that? Oleksandr Usyk has taken away 200 million in his career? That's it, right? Every time I've sat down with him and spoke with him, he always, every time he brings up his wife and kids, he always seems to kind of have a heavy heart talking about them, like he doesn't want to leave them. And obviously he leaves them to go into training camp. Well, make the decision, dude. Make the decision. I hope he retires. That being said, I still think he can kick the arse of all the heavyweights out there. Italma, Caballero, whoever, Wardley, Dubois, whoever, AJ, Fury, whatever. But I think we should call it quits, personally. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section.
Eddie Hearn is right, and that is genuinely not something you get to say every single day. The division does open up the moment Usyk removes himself from the equation completely. But let us be brutally honest here. None of these names carry the star power and the weight that Oleksandr Usyk carried every single time he stepped through those ropes. Nobody on that entire list gave this sport what Usyk gave it. He unified and dominated this division twice over, and then handed everything back like a true king, leaving his throne entirely on his own terms.
Great news for the contenders. And actually, to be honest with you, great news for the division, because I think we're going to see some interesting things throw up. I mean, if you look at the WBA, it's Gassiev against Jarrell Miller for the world title. If you look at the IBF, it's Frank Sanchez, who actually called us today about Joshua because he's in the line. And I said, unfortunately, we got a contract to fight Prenger and Fury, so we're out. So I think it's Sanchez against Yalalov for the world title, which is a bit crazy, but that, I mean,
It's a bit
yeah,
crazy.
but that's okay. Like,
Right.
Then you've got Wardley and Dubois, obviously fighting for the IBF, and then you've got Italma. Maybe they make the Hrgovic fight for the vacant title. So you're going to be in a situation where you could have, 4 world champions, which I don't mind. As long as they fight each other, but they're not massive names either. So
Right.
you could see some unifications and some great matchups. Then you've got the Fury Joshua winners going to be looking to fight for the belt. So I actually think it's really exciting.
Look, the Rico fight was far from vintage Usyk, and absolutely nobody is pretending otherwise. But even a below-par Usyk still found a way to get the job done when it mattered most. That alone tells you everything about the kind of champion and competitor this man truly is. And as for Ajit Cabale missing out on that fight, that is honestly the bigger story, because Cabale needed Usyk far more than Usyk ever needed Cabale to cement his place at the very top of this sport.
Many people had been calling for him to retire for quite a while now, as his in-the-ring performances have started to decline. We saw that in his most recent outing against Rico Verhoeven. He got the win, yes, but it was a controversial finish, and Usyk, it was the most he'd struggled with a heavyweight in the ring, I think it's fair to say. He had already vacated his WBO world title, and in doing so avoided his mandatory against Fabio Wardley. He was permitted to take that Rico fight, but next up would have been the WBC and a fight against Agit Kabayel. It was one that I was really intrigued to see, but we're now not going to get that, and it would have been interesting to see it because Kabayel would have been a very, very genuine test, and I was also excited to see just how good Kabayel is. He really needed that really top test so we could know, is this guy actually a top 1, 2, maybe 3 heavyweight in the world? But regardless, Usyk has made his decision, and now we need to work out what this means for each of the belts, what this means for the potential match.
Still in pursuit of glory. Those 5 words from Oleksandr Usyk sent the entire boxing world into an absolute frenzy, and rightly so. He walks away from every single belt he ever held completely undefeated. Not stripped, not forced out, not pushed aside by a younger man. He chose this moment entirely on his own terms like the champion he has always been. There has genuinely never been a heavyweight story quite like this one, and that fact alone tells you absolutely everything about the rare and extraordinary kind of champion Oleksandr Usyk truly is.
Usyk steals the show in the news cycle. He comes on to his social media. He has posted on Instagram in his story that he is right now prepared to vacate all of his world titles. That is right. Oleksandr Usyk is vacating all of his world titles in addition to the Ring Magazine title. However, he claims he has not finished boxing. He is still in pursuit of glory, leaving that cryptic message, not really sure what that means or how that glory will be pursued. But Oleksandr Usyk, as of this moment, is no longer the WBC, the WBO, the IBF, the WBA, the Ring Magazine. Of course, he is the lineal undisputed champion. Obviously, Daniel Dubois is also world champion, but Usyk has never been beaten in the ring for any of those world titles. I don't know that there's ever been a situation like this where an undefeated, active heavyweight champion, lineal undisputed, unified champion, voluntarily gives up all of his world titles to pursue glory by whatever.
Liam Goff makes a genuinely strong point here, and it is one that a lot of serious boxing people are quietly thinking about right now, whether they say it out loud or not. The Rico Hovland rematch as a final farewell fight makes complete and total sense for Oleksandr Usyk. That ending was messy. The stoppage was controversial. The boxing world did not get the clean and fully satisfying conclusion that a fight of that magnitude deserved, and Usyk knows that better than absolutely anyone. He is a proud champion and an even prouder man. He does not want the final chapter of his incredible story to end on a question mark, and that Rico Hovland fight left a very loud question mark hanging over his legacy that simply needs answering before he is done. The Kabayel conversation is interesting, and people will debate it for years, but let us be completely and brutally honest here. Agit Kabayel has not yet proven himself at the absolute top level of this sport. Had Usyk fought him and won, it would have been just another professional evening for the Ukrainian genius. The real motivation for one more fight is Rico Hovland, and that rematch gives Oleksandr Usyk the clean and definitive ending that his extraordinary legacy genuinely demands from him. Because what a legacy it already is. Two-weight, undisputed champion of the world. Never beaten for a single belt he ever held. Walked away completely on his own terms with his head held high. Tyson Fury spent years finding every possible excuse to avoid him, and when he finally had no choice but to show up, Usyk took him completely apart on 2 separate occasions and made it look almost routine. That is not just a career. That is a genuine masterpiece of a boxing life that nobody in this sport will ever forget.
I suspect, and I still stand by this, that the last dance for Oleksandr Usyk is quite simply just going to be the Rico Verhoeven rematch. I think that's what he wants to do. I think he wants to tie that loose end up. I think given the fact that, yeah, look, Kabayel was his mandatory, given the fact he's vacated the BBC along with the others, I suspect that won't hinder him in his legacy moving forward. You know, technically the WBC never officially ordered it. You know, he was mandatory, but it hadn't been ordered yet. They had to Tuesday, I think, and then, you know, they were going to step in and stuff like that. So when all's said and done with Usyk's career, the whole Kabayel thing, that might be, and especially, let's say Kabayel doesn't have, really, if Agit Kabayel, say, loses next fight or loses a couple of fights, then people, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, and I don't think it's a good thing, but people would be like, oh, well, he would have lost anyway, so there's no point. So he did the right thing not fighting him because he just would have beaten him anyway. And people are, we see it happens all the time, all right? So that might be the one little bit of thing that Usyk maybe has, that maybe some people will say after the fact, but who knows. But the Verhoeven fight, how competitive it was, and the ending of that fight, yeah. Look, watching it live, I didn't know, because I didn't have the commentary on, so I didn't know the bell had already went. It did seem premature to me.
So here's where we actually stand right now. Oleksandr Usyk has vacated every world title he ever owned. The WBC, the WBO, the IBF, the WBA, the Ring Magazine belt. All of it gone. Handed back voluntarily by a man who was never once beaten for any of them. Let that sink in for a moment, because nothing like this has ever happened in the history of heavyweight boxing. Not even close. Tyson Fury called him a clown. But who is really the clown here? The man who conquered 2 divisions and walked away undefeated on his own terms? Or the man who lost to him twice and still cannot stop talking about him every single chance he gets? Fury cannot let Usyk go, because deep down Fury knows that Usyk is the reason his legacy will always have that massive dent right through the middle of it. As for what comes next, I genuinely believe Liam Goff has it right. One more fight. Rico Hoven rematch. Usyk ties that loose end up cleanly and then walks away into retirement as the most complete heavyweight champion of his entire generation. That is the perfect ending to the most perfect heavyweight story this sport has seen in a very long time. The division will move on. New champions will be crowned. Wardley and Du Bois will fight. Anthony Joshua will chase one more shot at glory. Fury will do whatever Fury does next. But none of them will ever be Oleksandr Usyk. None of them will ever carry what he carried or do what he did in the way that he did it. If you are watching this, and you have not already smashed that subscribe button, then do it right now, because we are going to be covering every single development in this heavyweight division as it unfolds. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you want to see the Rico Hoven rematch happen? Do you think Usyk should just retire right now and protect everything he has built? Let us know exactly what you think. We read every single comment, and this conversation is just getting started.